is Wednesday, my dudes.
Welcome to another episode of Wednesday Toast, a podcast about comic book stuff where we talk about all kinds of comic book related stuff. My name is Lex, also known as Wednesday Poll, and I am here for a solo slice episode. This one's going to be very short. Simon and I couldn't get together this past weekend, so I didn't want to leave you empty-handed on Wednesday. I know some people like to listen to this on their way to the comic book shop, so hopefully it's only a 10 to 15 minute drive. If not, you can play one of the old episodes. I briefly wanted to talk about Doctor Doom in the MCU. Now, I know this has been talked about to the point of exhaustion in the past week, but this is what happens when you don't have an episode planned. So here we go. If you know me and you listen to the show, you know I'm pretty indifferent when it comes to comic book movies. I get why people are so passionate about these projects and seeing their favorite characters on the big screen, but I read comic books, and I don't mean that in like a gatekeepy sort of way. If I want better stories, then I usually will try to find them at the library or at my local comic shop. And that's just me. Again, I'm not trying to be gatekeepy. I know some people don't even like reading comic books. They just like going and enjoying these movies, which I think is perfectly fine. So, to get started, if you don't know, Robert Downey Jr., famously known as playing Tony Stark, also known as Iron Man for over a decade in the MCU, probably one of the most, if not the most, iconic figure in the MCU. He wrapped up his journey in Endgame with the big sacrifice at the end. It was dramatic. Everyone loved it. The perfect send-off. Who is Doctor Doom? Doctor Doom is one of the most iconic Marvel villains in the comic books. People have been waiting on this character for a very long time. We've gotten 2 different versions of him in 2 different movies, 3 if you count that old one, and people have been less than happy with him. I'm not going to say that I enjoyed the Doctor Doom in that Fox Fantastic Four movie, but I do enjoy those movies in a silly way. Most people loved the way they handled the Infinity Saga and have been really excited for the potential of Doctor Doom. And this next phase, we've been going through some trial and errors. They've been trying new things, which I'm not opposed to. I really dig that they're going out there and doing that. But Kang has not landed the way they wanted to. And then you have the controversy with Jonathan Majors. I'm sure I'll touch on that in just a second. But at San Diego Comic-Con this summer, 2024, they announced Doctor Doom. Now, everyone was expecting them to have some big news, some Fantastic Four footage. I didn't expect them to announce Doctor Doom, but they did. And they announced that it was going to be Robert Downey Jr. And it was the ultimate M. Night move. It was such a twist. I had no idea. I couldn't believe it. I'm sure a lot of people had the same reaction. It was all over the place. Mixed reviews, mixed reactions from everybody on social media. They also announced that the next 2 movies were going to be directed by the Russo brothers. They were going to be called Secret Wars and Doomsday. RDJ was going to be in both of those. I don't remember if they said that he was going to be in Fantastic Four at all, but it would be silly if he wasn't in the end credits or something. Or not. I'm sure it'd be fine either way. Now, the reactions have been interesting because you have those hardcore MCU fans that the MCU can do no wrong. Anything that they do, they will justify it in some bizarre way sometimes. And then you have the people that hate the MCU, that hate comic book movies. And those two are just 2 sides of the spectrum. I fall in the middle, I would think, more so the side that enjoys it, but I fall more in the middle, being indifferent. It's an interesting place to be and see some of these reactions because I do think it's silly. I see it for what it is, I think. The general fan reaction to this last phase of the MCU hasn't been well received. I think it's been fine, but it hasn't been well received. We had a weird era of movies with COVID and then the writer's strike. There was just so many weird things that have to be factored into that, right? So you'll hear the MCU hate crowd say, oh, the MCU, bring it back to how it used to be, quote unquote, the good old days, the Infinity Saga. We love that era, even though I'm sure there were just as many complaints then. What does Marvel Disney see and do? They're like, okay, they love Robert Downey Jr. Let's bring him back. He's Doctor Doom. And I'm pretty sure, you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but they said it wasn't going to be a variant of Tony Stark. He was cast as Victor Von Doom. I have to add, and just to clarify, all of these conversations are silly because we have no idea the scope of what these movies are going to be, the ideas that they're putting in, the story. We have nothing except for the casting. So everyone's jumping to conclusions. But it's clear that they said, okay, everyone loves Robert Downey Jr. We're going to bring Robert Downey Jr. back. It's going to, for sure, put butts in the seats. It is. Whether you hate it or love it, it's definitely going to build buzz for these next two movies that might have been lacking. They are answering the Jonathan Majors situation in a way, and they're giving those fans what they want. They know that those original Infinity Saga fanboys will love it, and they know the MCU hardcore fans. What's interesting about those hardcore MCU fans is that if anybody has any sort of opinion against it, they are pissed off. They're like, how dare you? He's going to do great. He's a great actor. Even though I don't think that's the argument against it. Like me, in my opinion, I think it's a little silly to bring Robert Downey Jr. back. And I'm not even in the camp that it takes away from his death in Infinity or in Endgame, like some people are saying. Some people say it makes his death and his exit pointless. It's comic books. Nobody stays dead. Not even Uncle Ben. Everybody comes back in some way, shape, or form. I think my gripe with it, and it's not even really a complaint again, because I don't know what the movie is. I don't know what capacity this Doctor Doom is going to be. Whether he's just for these movies and then they have an MCU version of Doctor Doom, like what people think they're going to do with Wolverine, or if this is just what they're going to go with. My thing is that Doctor Doom is one of those characters that is so iconic, it almost robs the potential. And that's it. It's not it. There is the whole discussion about his Romani heritage and how the MCU doesn't do a really good job at Romani representation. That is a whole separate episode in its own. That's a pretty big deal that I don't feel like a lot of people that are pro Robert Downey Jr. coming back will even acknowledge, because they don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. My thing is, it just takes away from the potential, and it could be done really well. I am not saying that it is impossible to do. I'm not saying that it won't be great. I'm not saying that I'm not going to go see it. I'm just saying right now, in my opinion, Robert Downey Jr. using his star power to bring butts into seats robs the potential of what Doctor Doom could be, if that makes sense. And hopefully it doesn't, right? Best case scenario, it doesn't. I'm not a dead set this is going to be a certain way. Hey, maybe it is the best situation. Maybe they're going to knock it out of the park. The Russo brothers, they have a decent track record. And decent as in it's pretty good. It's really good, actually. So I think it's fine. I say that with a hopeful think it's fine. In my head, though, looking at the grand scope of this current multiverse saga, it stinks. Yes, I understand Jonathan Majors lost his job because of the situation that he was in. Makes sense. I'm not really sure why recasting him wasn't an option, especially in a situation where there's so many variants of him. They had variants that didn't look like him when they showed the Kang Council. I don't know why that wasn't an option. Hopefully that's clarified. I really hope they just don't. I know some people are saying that Loki fixed that problem, but it's not really a satisfying end. I hate that they did all this build up for Kang. He's in all these movies, all these shows, all these loose threads, and then they're just gonna shoehorn in Doctor Doom. I'm not saying that it can't be done or it won't be done well. I'm just saying that I am interested in seeing where they go. I hope that it's not just oh, hey, here's Doctor Doom. You guys know him, and you guys know Robert Downey Jr. Win-win. And I really, if I had it my way, the MCU future Doctor Doom would come in at the end and kill Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom again. That's how I would personally end it. I would have Doctor Doom intro by wiping out the Kang Council if that's how they wanted to do it. And I'm sure they're going to do the Wolverine, Deadpool, Tobey Maguire team versus, I don't know. It's exhausting trying to speculate because there's no way anybody knows, right? All we can really do is wait and see. And again, I didn't want to get on here and rant for 10 minutes about Doctor Doom because at the end of the day, everybody has given their opinion. Everything that could have been said about it has been said. And yeah, I don't know. I just felt like this was a good conversation starter. I want to know what you think, really. On Spotify, there's a way to leave comments, questions, and whatnot. Or if you are subscribed to us on YouTube, these podcast episodes go up. You could comment on there and let me know what you think. Or you can hit us up on social media. Wednesday Toast everywhere. On X, we're there for a little bit longer. I think the podcast X account is just posting new episode updates, but you could comment under there and let us know what you think. I'd love to really get this conversation started. Maybe Simon and I will get together and talk about this a little bit more. I want to know, at least briefly in another one of our episodes, or we'll put it on YouTube or something. I'd love to hear his thoughts about everyone knows he's a little bit more angsty than me, so it could be a funny conversation. I didn't want to take up too much of your time today. I really want to know what you think about Doctor Doom. This was a long episode for me to basically say I'm indifferent. Let's just wait to see what happens. But also stinks. And if you're one of those hardcore fans, just try to cut some slack for the people that have an opinion about it, right? Like, everyone's entitled to their opinion. And if you're one of those hardcore people that hate the MCU, like, maybe he'll do fine. Everyone just needs to chill out, right? That's the moral of the story. I appreciate you guys taking the time listening. I hope you made it to the comic book shop safely. I hope you made it to work safely, wherever you listen to this. I hope you got done doing your dishes, whatever it is. We'll be back next week. I don't know what the episode will be about, but I appreciate you. And I'm circling the drain, as I do often. So we'll see you next time.